Hey everybody, this is Matt Pup with my Supremacy 1914 playthrough and strategy. This is part 5. I just wanted to start off real quick with showing you the country selection that you'll have a chance to use in some of the games that you decide to join. When I joined this game, there were about 12 country slots left. Uh, Even if you manage to get into a game that's got 25 country slots left, most of the best choices that you can have are going to be taken. So, as I mentioned, South United States and Northern Canada are two of the best countries you can get. So, those are the two countries that normally get taken first. After that, people have more personal preferences. So, while my third favorite to take is normally Greenland, Greenland's actually still on the board. So, I'm actually probably going to take them. Um, East Libya, as mentioned, is in my probably top 10. It's still on the board. Spain's still on the board. Spain's probably in my top 10, but it's also kind of a crapshoot nation. But normally you'll see a lot of people take Spain too, so I'm actually kind of surprised it's still there. But I might play through this game a little bit too in some of my videos, but I'm going to be Greenland in this, and we're going to get back to the Ottoman Empire nation because my troops are in place and I'm ready to move on with the next stage of the game. Alright, so we are back with my Ottoman Empire nation. First things first, all the troops I moved yesterday to my border with Syria have arrived, but I've decided to not attack Syria yet. It's because I looked at the Daily European when I got on, and I looked at day 1, which was yesterday, and all the way down at the bottom, or somewhere in here, it pointed out that Arabia has an active player right there. So, player named Black Smoke took over as the active player of Arabia. So I kind of just want to like wait a day, day and a half, 2 days to see if he tries to attack Syria first. Because basically, if he doesn't attack, um, it probably means he's not active and it won't be that big of a deal. And if he does attack Syria, that just makes it easier for me to take the entire nation of Syria itself and the entire nation of Arabia. So it would just kind of work in my favor. So it's sometimes just better to hold off and wait, even though this is a long game. It's a sit and waiting kind of game. So in most cases, the calm and patient person is going to win. So I'm just going to hold off for a little while there. You'll see I have a few single troops moving around. That's because the nations of Caucasus and Greece don't have active players yet. I can tell that because one, it didn't pop up in the Daily European that anybody had taken over their country, and two, I can tell because by looking at their regions, if they had built recruitment offices, which is the first step everybody does, if they built them, their troops would be up from 10 to 11 in the regions I can see. They're not. So what I've decided to do is take the one troops that I've recruited so far out of these areas and send them over to Constantinople. And by tomorrow, depending on what I see, I might move out more. And that's simply because I can see Romania up here is active, and Romania is attacking or going to attack Bulgaria because they have troops right here, which I can't see yet, but I can see they're moving towards Varna. And once they take that region, they'll share a region with Constantinople, and I just want to make sure Constantinople's safe. Likely, if Romania is going through and attacking Bulgaria, they'll be more depleted. They won't want to open up or start open war with me, at least not right away. and they'll likely try to go after Serbia right afterwards instead of trying to mess with me. But like I said before, the same reason I don't want to take anybody out of Mangusta, I don't want to invite open war with Romania up here in Constantinople. So if it looks like I'm moving troops into, at least some defensive troops into Constantinople, um, especially it being my capital, I want to do everything, at least my capital at the moment, I want to do everything I can to keep him from being tempted to attack me. Because I don't think it would be in his plans to attack me right off the bat. But if I left my capital wide open, uh, and he had an easy shot at what money I had, because once you take over a capital, you basically take all that person's money. If I left that wide open to give him such an advantage early in the game, he would take it. So I don't want to tempt him with an open capital like that, so I'm just going to block it off. So that's basically all I can do right now. Um, maybe add another minute or two at the end to show you what buildings I'm going to be putting on in a few hours. But that's it for the moment. All right, my buildings are done being built, so I'm going to go through and start some more construction. The first thing I want to do is continue building my fortress in Constantinople. I got another 24 hours before my capital switches over here to Syria, I believe. Look at it. Yeah, I got less than 24 hours for that. So I still want to protect this region. Even when the capital's gone, I want to protect it to make sure I have an area to land my troops from my main country area over into Europe, because it's a lot harder to land troops into enemy territory, especially if they see you coming. So I just want to keep building up this fortress to protect it from Romania if they decide to get aggressive. So that's the first building I want to build. Second one, I want to continue building my barracks. So I'm going to come over here and build up my barracks to level 2. And level 2 is the highest you can upgrade your barracks to. The next one I want to build is here in Greece. So I'll find the fortress, build level 2 fortress there. And then I'm just going to hold off on building up the fortress farther in Famagusta, because I have a level 1 fortress there. If Greece becomes active, it would take them a while to move troops uh, over here to their region of Nicosia. So I'd be able to see if they're moving troops over there to take that region. They can't take it with just their base 10 troops there, especially when I have the level 1 fortress. 95% of the time I would win, so I'm not worried about it. So I'm not going to build that up any further. I'm just going to save my iron. The next building that I plan on putting in is a harbor. And the way this game works is there's several buildings that you can normally build that you can't start building at the beginning of the game. There's a process of buildings that need to be built beforehand. So what the harbor does is the harbor is 10,000 wood, so it's kind of expensive to put in, but it cuts down your disembark time by 50%. So normally takes 3 hours to disembark, or only take an hour and a half. So your troops can move faster. It will raise the morale of regions across water because they're technically closer at that point. So that's why you have a harbor. And once the harbor's built, once the first harbor in the game is built, you can start building railroads. And railroads reduce the travel time over your land routes. And then once the first railroad's built, as long as you have your level 2 workshop at that point, you can start building factories. And factories are where you build your artillery, your battleships, and railguns. In order to build a battleship, you have to build it in a region that has a harbor, so your factory needs to be in a region with a harbor. In order to build your railgun, that factory needs to be in a region that has a railroad, things like that. So the harbor is important. I'm sure another country in the game by now has started building a harbor, but I always like to get my harbor built and out of the way so that by the time I'm able to start building factories, I can start to build the factories up. So the sooner you can build a factory and the sooner you can build a battleship or a railgun, depending on what country you are, either or makes more sense. Uh, the better off your country does. So if your country has, let's just say, 2 artillery pieces, and you have 20,000 less troops than another nation, I would give the country with 2 artillery a better chance of winning a war than the other country, even though they're outnumbered, because those artillery pieces, they can do a lot of work, especially if somebody doesn't see the attack coming, and the artillery can just sit there and bombard troops for a while before they can be moved around. So really the keys of the game is 50% your troop count and 50% the type of weapons you can build. So the quickest you can get up to that factory, the better. So after the barracks is done building tomorrow, I'll probably buy some wood if I need to and put in a harbor there. And then at that point, I should also be able to know if I'm going to move south and attack Syria or wait for Arabia to deal with it. And I'll also be able to tell what's going up here with Romania. So I'll see all you guys tomorrow.